Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to curate an aesthetic. This is a video topic that has been requested of me quite a few times, but I've never really been sure how to go about it. Contrary to what people think, I don't really plan out my aesthetic phases. My brain will kind of lock on to something that gives me a certain feeling. Music, clothing, decor, shows, food, you name it, whatever it is. Anything that matches that same vibe, I hoard it. I hoard it like a little dragon with bastard hands. And then when I take a step back, it just so happens to be a cohesive aesthetic. But I'm aware that's not very helpful, so I'm going to attempt to break it down and give it more structure for everyone to follow. I'm going to show you the curation of the style that I am currently into, which I have named Sun-Kissed Summer. And it's essentially a beachy, bohemian, summery, tropical style meets a more whimsical, fantasy-esque style. And I'll show you guys some Jesus. I'll show you guys some oh my god. I'll show you guys some DIYs what's going on. First things first though, let's make ourselves some mood boards. One thing about me, I will always make a mood board. I think it's good to kind of lay it all out where you can visualize it and organize it, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm making my mood boards on a website called Melanote. There is a pro version, I'm using the free one, so I'm making my main Sun-Kissed Summer board, and then I'll make some sub-boards within that one. We're gonna do accessories, clothing, lipsticks, and decor. Lipsticks because I'm gonna show you guys a sneak peek at a new lipstick shade that fits the vibe. Collect all of your photos. I get mine off of Pinterest. My boards are all private, so don't ask. Melanote does have a web clipper though, so if you're just like scrolling randomly online and you see a photo that you want to add, you can add it that way. But I get all of mine off of Pinterest, and then I just add it to the board. And then we're looking for patterns, similarities, themes that all of these inspo photos share that will make it easier for us to use it as a guide, essentially. I'm adding some color swatches. Colors for this style are very deep, rich, and vibrant shades. And looking at the similarities, I can see there's a lot of chunky statement pieces, colorful gemstones, and ocean themes, and seashells, of course, because it's a summer vibe. As far as metals go, pretty much anything works here. Gold, silver, bronze, because this aesthetic is more natural and rustic. It doesn't have to be so matchy. So you can mix metals pretty much as long as they all look a bit aged and antique. I think this aesthetic is perfect for tying in little pieces of your culture, so I've been really into adding little bits of traditional Turkish pieces to mine. For the more fantasy and whimsical elements, animals usually come into play, like the little clay fish or these sick-ass raven cuffs from Orumcraft, which naturally I had to have. So using my mood board as a guide, I am going to DIY a necklace. I'm using wax-coated cord. It is important that it's wax-coated, and I'm measuring out just enough to comfortably fit over my head, and then I'm going to thread my beads on. Once my beads are all threaded on there, I'm going to make sure that they're centered, and then I'm just tying a knot on either end down by the ends of the beads, just to make sure that they're not sliding around. I am making this necklace adjustable, so I'm just laying the necklace down, crossing the ends, and then taping them out of the way, just to make things a little bit easier. I'm cutting another piece of wax cord, and then I'm going to thread that underneath the center of those necklace ends and just tie it in a single knot. So to make the adjustable bit, I'm just taking the tail of one side, putting it underneath those center pieces and over the other tail, taking the other tail and threading it through the loop so it makes a little pretzel, and pull it tight. And then I'm just going to alternate that right side, left side, right side, left side. So take one tail under, over, take the other tail, put it through the loop, and pull it tight. And you're going to want to repeat this like 5 to 10 times, just depending on how big you want your sliding knot to be. I will add a link to a more thorough tutorial in the description box if that was too confusing. I'm not really sure how to explain it. I'm a visual learner. I'm snipping off the tail ends pretty close to the base and then just adding a little bit of fire to melt it down and secure it. That's why the wax thread was important. For the actual ends of the necklace, I added a crimp bead, a bead cap, and then a regular bead, and then I'm tying a double knot, snipping it, melting it down, and then pressing that little crimp bead so that the beads stay at the ends of the necklace. And there you have it, your adjustable choker is complete. And now onto the clothing. The theme for the clothing is very light and flowy fabrics, cotton, gauze, linen, again, vibrant colors. I also noticed a lot of plunging deep cut necklines and sheer fabrics as well, and these are perfect for layering really dainty and delicate bralettes underneath. Low rise for skirts and pants, lots of embroidery details, and for this style it works really nicely if the clothing pieces are more simple, solid colors, no patterns, and then the accessories can be more ornate and loud. So I'm adding my little checklist here, and I am going to craft a dress as well as a bralette to go underneath it. For my bralette, I've dyed some scrap fabric and elastic to this vibrant shade of green, and I am using a pattern that I'll have linked in the description because do not try to freehand a bralette. I have tried and it never ends well. It's way more complicated than you would think. So I'm cutting out the cut pieces and then just following the instructions and sewing them together on the curve. I do have a newly acquired sewing machine I could use, but I'm hand sewing these projects because honestly they're really quick, and I just wanted to show you guys that you don't actually need a machine anyways. I'm attaching the cups to the elastic. With a sewing machine, you would use a zigzag stitch here to still allow the elastic to stretch properly without popping the stitches. And with hand sewing, I'm using a herringbone stitch, also known as a catch stitch, and it's basically 2 parallel back stitches. Tiny back stitch on the top so it isn't visible on the other side, and then a bigger back stitch on the bottom. I'm just going through the surface threads of the elastic for both of these stitches. Neither one goes all the way through, so you shouldn't be able to see either of them on the other side. And as you can see, it keeps its stretch. At the ends of the elastic, after I've measured it to the size that I need it to be, I am looping the ends, adding my G-hook to one side, and then sewing those loops closed. I'm adding my elastic for the shoulders, making sure I measure it while it's on to get the length right, and then sewing those to the front and to the back. Then I'm just going through with some cream embroidery thread and adding a little more structure and also just some cute details. The fabric that I use has no structure, it frays very easily, so it is a little bit difficult to sew, but it looks really cute and it feels really comfortable, so I went for it. And I think it turned out okay. Onto the dress. For this, I've dyed some fabric to this pretty teal shade. I'm taking it and folding it over so that it's just a long rectangle, and I'm gonna measure and cut so it goes from my shoulders to my ankles. Of course, you can adjust this to be whatever length that you want it to be. In the center of the fabric up at the top fold, I'm going to cut a slit down the center where my head will go. I'm making one side deeper than the other because I don't really want the back to be plunging as well, just the front. The next step is to sew the sides closed. I'm leaving a gap for the armholes. I prefer these to be quite large, so I give myself a foot and a few inches, and then I'm just using a very simple whip stitch down the edge. If the fabric that I used was softer and more flowy, then I would probably leave the sleeves down, but because this fabric is a bit stiffer and more structured, that looks a little bit silly, so I'm gathering the fabric up on the shoulders for this one. To keep it in place, I've cut a small messy strip from the scrap fabric and I'm tying it around the front pieces on my chest to keep them gathered, and I'm going to do the same thing to the shoulders, but I wanted to leave out a little piece of the shoulders on the edge, so I'm just adding a small slit and then gathering them up and tying it off that way. Honestly, I had no real plan or pattern when making this dress. I just kind of rolled with it as I filmed, but I think it came out really cute, and it's hard to mess up a rectangle of fabric. Again, since the vibe is very natural and rustic, I will not be hemming any of the raw edges on this dress, so these will have to be hand-washed pieces. And onto the lipstick board. Here is a peek at the new Kitsune collection summer shade that we're dropping. Whenever we are doing new shades, I'll make a mood board of the color inspo I'm going for, and I'll send it to my business partner so she can use it as a guide, and I can add her as a collaborator and send the boards to her that way, and she can comment and message me directly. So following the mood board, we got our shade sample, which came out perfect. I'm really excited about it, and you can see the little mock-up of our new bottles, which I got some samples of. These ones had some defects that we had to correct, but the completed shades in the new bottle are on the way to me. So that's a peek at our new shade, which will probably be named Mulberry because I really can't think of anything else. Finally, we have our interior board. I will not be showing you guys any DIYs for this one yet. I might do some interior DIYs as like a separate video though. Themes for the home are intricate details on the furniture, neutral color for the room overall, but then like vibrant accessories, warm eclectic lighting. As you can see here, I have this really cute woven accent light, and I put in an amber bulb. Perfectly fits the vibe we're going for. I'll have that light linked in the description box. Playcraft bowls and trinkets. Again, the vibe is very much rustic and whimsical, so it's perfect for handmade crafts, like this fish dish that I made to hold my rings. Lots of plants, varying patterns and textures, and lots of throw pillows and rugs. That's the home vibe. So hopefully this was somewhat helpful. If it was and you guys enjoyed it, then maybe I can do some other curation videos for different styles. And yeah, I think that's it for me. So bye. Thank you so much to Milanote for sponsoring this video, and if you guys would like to try out a great platform for mood boarding or organizing your creative projects, I will have the link in the description box.